In the US, pheasants were once a foreign species, a guest from Asia. Over time, they've adapted and become a symbol of the American Midwest. But have you ever wondered what helped an exotic species like the pheasant become such an important part of America's agriculture and hunting industry? In today's video, let's explore that incredible journey together. First, let's step back in history to learn about the origin of this remarkable bird. Pheasants originated in China, where they were also considered a cultural symbol. Pheasants were brought to Oregon in 1881 by Owen Nickerson Denny, the former US Consul General in Shanghai. Denny continued importing and releasing them in 1882 and 1884. And by 1892, Oregon had opened its first pheasant hunting season. Pheasants typically live in grasslands mixed with shrubs or forest edges, where they can find food and shelter from predators. Their diet mainly consists of seeds, larvae, and small insects. They are mostly distributed across states like South Dakota, North Dakota, and Nebraska. However, as hunting demand increased and the natural habitats shrank, the number of wild pheasants began to decline sharply. To maintain populations and meet market demand, people began raising pheasants on farms, not only for conservation, but also to serve the growing hunting and food industries. Now let's head to the farms in America to see how they raise millions of pheasants. When pheasants reach 6 to 8 months old, they begin mating. One male pheasant is usually released with 5 to 8 female pheasants. Male pheasants are typically larger and more colourful than females. During mating, the male actively seeks out females and performs displays to gain their acceptance. Once the female accepts, mating occurs, usually lasting only 4 to 10 seconds. When pheasants reach reproductive age, they begin laying eggs. Unlike domestic chickens, pheasants do not lay eggs year-round, only during the breeding season, which lasts for around 2 to 3 months each year. On average, one female pheasant lays around 30 to 60 eggs per year. After the pheasants lay eggs, farmers collect them carefully, checking every spot to avoid missing any. Pheasants may nest and lay eggs in the enclosure like this. The collected eggs are then cleaned using an egg washing machine. Next, the eggs are sorted and placed into trays, which are then put into an incubator. Pheasant eggs are usually incubated for 23 to 28 days at around 98 degrees Fahrenheit. During this period, the machine automatically turns the eggs to ensure even embryo development. This is a crucial stage that determines the hatching rate. When conditions are right, the chicks begin to break through the shell and emerge. Newly hatched pheasant chicks are very weak and need around 1 to 2 days to adapt to their new environment. Once all the eggs have hatched, the farmers take the chicks out. They are sorted based on physical characteristics and they always select the healthiest ones. The chicks are then separated and given special care. Here they are kept in a brooder at around 96.8 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 3 weeks, in a draft-free area. Water and food are also fully prepared for the young pheasants. Pheasants, with a naturally aggressive temperament, especially when raised in high densities, can easily fight and injure one another. To prevent this, farmers attach a small device to the pheasant's beak to restrict its direct line of sight, which reduces their ability to recognize other birds and in turn limits pecking behavior. Farmers use their hands or special pliers to open the device, then position it on the pheasant's beak so that the 2 small pins fit into the bird's nostrils. Finally, when they release the hand or pliers, the device locks securely onto the pheasant's beak. This process requires careful handling to avoid injuring the bird. The floor of the brooder for young pheasants is lined with paper to keep their feet warm. After around 4 to 6 weeks of age, the chicks are moved to the main enclosure. This transition happens gradually, as pheasants are highly sensitive to temperature changes. On large farms, pheasants are typically fed a compound feed. In addition, they are given grains such as corn and barley. Farmers also supplement their diet with insects to help build muscles and improve fertility. Feeding is increased during the period before they are ready for release or sale. Pheasant enclosures are usually semi-natural. The pens are designed with areas for the birds to take shelter at night or during bad weather. Farmers often plant trees around the enclosures to provide shade and hiding spots. This design ensures the pheasants have enough space to move around and helps them to adapt better to natural environments, an advantage for future release. When pheasants reach 5 to 6 months old and weigh 2.6 to 3.5 pounds, they are ready for release or sale, depending on the purpose, whether for hunting or as food. Catching pheasants takes quite a bit of time, as they can fly into the air. Farmers usually drive them into a smaller area to make capture easier. To avoid injuries caused by the flapping birds, handlers may wear protective helmets. Farmers often use netted poles to catch pheasants, while experienced handlers may catch them by hand. Afterwards, pliers are used to remove the vision-restricting device from their beaks. Once caught, pheasants are placed into boxes or cages. The price of pheasants in the US ranges from $11.34 to $18.14 per pound. Farms in the US can produce millions of pheasants for the market each year, contributing around $500 million to the US economy. This shows that pheasant farming is a highly promising industry in the US. Pheasants are then loaded onto trucks. Next, they are transported to the release areas. In the US, pheasants are mainly raised for release to support hunting. This activity is often carried out by landowners and management agencies. This helps generate extra income from hunting activities while maintaining pheasant populations at stable levels. Releasing pheasants into the wild has also caused considerable controversy. Some argue that releasing thousands of pheasants at once and in the same location will affect native species. Others view this as planting birds. That does not reflect the true spirit of wild and fair hunting. What about you? What's your opinion about this? Pheasant meat in the US is not as popular as industrial chicken because it is leaner and has a certain toughness. Furthermore, pheasant meat is more expensive. When processing pheasants, people usually remove the skin because it is very thin and tears easily, making processing difficult. Then the wings, head, and tail are also removed. After the skin is removed, the internal organs of the pheasant are also taken out. The liver and heart may be kept and processed together with the meat. Pheasant meat is often prepared as grilled dishes because it retains sweetness and a chewy texture. Besides farming, pheasant hunting is also an important tradition in many rural areas of the US. It is not only a recreational pastime, but also contributes significantly to local economies through hunting tourism and related services. Before going pheasant hunting, hunters need to prepare guns, ammunition, boots, clothing and backpacks. Pheasants have a tendency to hide, which is why they often live in dense grasslands. Because of this, hunters may spend hours walking along wide grassy fields to find them. Hunters moving in groups will increase the likelihood of pheasant encounters. If a pheasant is a bit stubborn, finding it can be very difficult. When hunters approach, pheasants panic and fly up to escape, creating the opportunity for hunters to fire. The most commonly used firearm for pheasant hunting is the shotgun. This type of gun is considered a traditional weapon for pheasant hunting. It is highly maneuverable, but requires hunters to have a good moving target shooting skills. In the case of a flock of pheasants, a shotgun may not be able to hit many targets because of its slow rate of fire, which is also a limitation of this weapon. This gun is also used with appropriate ammo sizes so not as to damage the meat and cause a quicker death, thereby reducing the time of suffering. On hunting trips, hunters sometimes miss opportunities, and not every shot hits the target. hunting dogs are brought in along on every pheasant hunt. Their job is to sniff out where the pheasants are hiding. When a pheasant is down, the dogs retrieve it and bring it back to the hunter. They also coordinate seamlessly with the hunter during the hunt to increase the success rate of the trip. To perform these tasks well, they must undergo continuous training. The cost of a pheasant hunting trip usually ranges from $120 to $3,000, depending on the quality of service and duration of the hunt. Revenue from pheasant hunting in the US reaches around $400 million each year, demonstrating the value of a species once considered foreign.
Good boy, drop it right there. He knows exactly what to do.
With its remarkable adaptability, the pheasant has firmly established its place in American agriculture, becoming a highly regarded livestock industry. Though once an exotic species, the pheasant no longer carries the air of a foreign guest. It has risen to become an integral part of America's rural hunting, culinary, and farming culture.
Easy now, easy. A little higher. Okay, that's good. Back it up.
Don't take your eyes off the screen, because now we're moving to a Native American species, the turkey, which is also considered one of the most hunted birds in the US. It has been deeply intertwined with the nation's history and traditions for centuries.
Cheers to family.
In the US, there are around 2,500 turkey farms, which together supply more than 200 million turkeys to the market each year, a clear sign of how large the turkey industry
That
is.
should feed the whole family. We are all set for Thanksgiving now.
Now let's visit a turkey farm to see how farmers raise them. Female turkeys, at around 26 to 30 weeks old, are artificially inseminated. Farmers inject sperm into the hen's oviduct, a process that only takes a short time. After around a week, the hen begins to lay eggs. Turkey eggs are collected into baskets by farm workers. Then the shells are cleaned to reduce the risk of external bacterial infection. Once cleaned, the eggs are transported and placed into incubators. After around 7 days, the eggs are candled to check embryo development and infertile eggs are removed. After around 28 days of incubation, the turkey eggs hatch. Workers then sort and select the healthiest chicks. The turkey poults are then moved into brooders around 2 days after hatching, where farmers provide water and rich feed in nutrients to boost their immunity. The turkey coop floor is lined with a layer of wood shavings to maintain hygiene and keep the birds warm during winter. Turkeys are usually kept at a density of about 12 birds per 10 square feet, which limits their movements. This lack of space often leads to disease and death. Farmers regularly check on the flock to monitor their health. Industrial-style housing often confines turkeys indoors for their entire lives, leading to stress and affecting meat quality. Some facilities are designed with access doors to the outdoors, allowing turkeys to experience more natural environments. To improve meat quality and animal welfare, some farms have adopted free-range methods. Their barns are built to provide nighttime and weather shelter while still letting the turkeys roam freely during the day. Turkeys are typically raised for 16 to 20 weeks, and when they reach a weight of around 22 to 37 pounds, they are ready for processing. Turkeys are then sent to processing facilities. There, the turkeys are prepped to remove the outer feathers, and the next step is an automated machine that also removes the turkey's internal organs to the outside. To remove all dirt, the turkeys are washed in a water tank, and finally they're packaged for shipment to the market. Each year on Thanksgiving Day, the US consumes around 45 million turkeys, a long-standing American tradition.
And you can see the stuffing right here. Yeah, right here.
Beyond being an important holiday food, the turkey is also a very popular game bird in the US. Now let's move on to this impressive hunting journey. Turkeys typically forage in areas such as grasslands or forest edges. After spotting a turkey's location, the hunter must move very quietly and find a good shooting position. Hunters use decoy turkeys to lure toms because male turkeys are highly territorial. Hunters also use calls that imitate turkey sounds in order to attract them. The hunter will sit and repeatedly make calling sounds to draw the turkey in. When the turkey hears the call, it will become attracted and approach. Now the hunter only waits for the opportunity to fire. This is when the hunter must be careful with every action. The weapon most commonly used is the shotgun. This gun has an effective range of around 66 to 148 feet, making it well suited for close-range turkey hunting. Although the trophy may not be huge, turkey hunting gives hunters the thrill of waiting, anticipation, and excitement. Still, hunting turkey with a bow is a completely different experience. This method requires the hunter to have good aim and camouflage skills. Bows typically have a range of around 49 to 82 feet, at which distance the hunter can sense every step the turkey takes. Each year, it is estimated that around 650,000 turkeys are harvested. This is also a traditional activity in the US, with around 2.5 million hunters nationwide participating. It is not just a hunt. It is an indispensable part of American culture. Farewell to the turkey. Now let's move on to a highly impressive form of hunting, Canadian goose hunting. Because Canadian geese usually appear at dawn, hunters must often prepare very early. They set up decoy geese to lure the flocks to land. They also prepare blinds for concealment. Camouflaging the blind is very important so that the geese won't detect it.
I think we better go on these ones.
Next, the hunters wait for the geese to appear. When the flock arrives, hunters blow goose calls to coax them to fly lower. When the geese descend to a suitable height, the hunters fire simultaneously.
Kill 'em, boys!
This type of hunt gives hunters an incredible feeling, with hundreds of Canadian geese appearing at once, making it understandably difficult to choose a single target.
He's in the hole, ready? Kill him!
After the geese is downed, hunters quickly recover them. Dogs also assist hunters in retrieving the Canadian geese.
Good girl. Here!
That one.
Come on!
That was like a tom right there. No, that was a turkey shot.
Heel.
This hunting continues until no more flocks appear. On a single trip, they could take down dozens or even hundreds of Canadian geese. Each season, around 1.8 million Canadian geese are harvested. Beyond the thrill of the hunt, this also delivers the joy of bringing home the harvest.
Oh, dude! Shoot him! Great job today, man. Couldn't have done it without you guys. What a haul! Incredible hunt.
Finally, we come to another equally fascinating type of hunt, snow goose hunting. Just like the Canada goose hunt, hunters here also prepare snow goose decoys. Once everything is ready, they take their positions and wait. When a flock of snow geese is lured close to the ground, the hunters simultaneously shed their camouflage and open fire. Dozens of snow geese are hit and fall one after another, creating an overwhelming and spectacular scene. In the US, hunting regulations state that only shotguns may be used for snow goose hunting. This type of firearm has a short range, and its pellets are safe when fired into the air. It is also considered a fair weapon against flocks of snow geese because it limits both firing time and ammunition capacity. Flocks of snow geese numbering in the thousands bring hunters an incredible rush of excitement. Each year, over 300,000 snow geese are hunted, a small number compared to the total flock population of around 20 million. Due to their massive numbers, snow geese have caused ecological imbalances in certain regions where they live. To address this, some US states allow residents to hunt snow geese with no bag limit. As we wrap up today's video, we've learned why pheasants and turkeys are amongst the most hunted birds in the US. We've also experienced the thrilling emotions of the hunt. So which moment impressed you the most? Please let us know in the comments below. See you on our next adventure. Across the US, wild boars are infiltrating forests, grasslands and agricultural areas. They destroy crops, attack livestock and encroach on human habitats. For the US, they are both a challenge and a threat. But what turns this seemingly ordinary animal into the most dangerous invasive species? And how can we stop them before things spiral out of control? Wild boars are scientifically known as Sus scrofa, originated in Europe. European explorers brought them to the Americas as a portable food source. During the journey, many escaped into the wild and began living freely. There, they interbred with native pigs, creating complex hybrid populations. Over time, they adapted so well that their numbers have reached around 9 million today. Wild boars are highly adaptable to different weather conditions. They can withstand the freezing cold of Alaska and the scorching heat of Florida. They know how to take shelter in burrows or wallow in cool mud. They appear everywhere, as if nothing can stop their relentless vitality. Beyond weather, their adaptability to food sources is equally impressive. They will eat anything from roots, tubers and fruits to smaller animals. When food is scarce, they even consume carrion. Wild boars are also infamous for their reproductive power. A female can become pregnant as early as 6 months old, giving birth twice a year and producing litters of 12 to 4 piglets. With virtually no natural predators, piglet survival rates are very high. They can double their numbers within just a few short months. Thanks to this reproductive capability, they rapidly invade lands across the US. In 1980, wild boars were recorded in only 18 states, but by 2016 they have spread to 35 states. Humans are gradually shrinking their habitat to make way for economic development, but the real question is, who is really invading whom? Every year, the US loses around $2.5 billion due to wild boars. Wildlife managers are still struggling to find solutions to control these populations. Now, let's see how Americans deal with millions of invasive wild boars.
Huh?
First, we'll explore hunting wild boars with firearms, the most popular method amongst people working to control these invasive animals. The type of firearm hunters usually use is a scope rifle. Before each trip, hunters carefully maintain and inspect their guns, ensuring safety and maximizing shot accuracy. They also bring along jackets, hats, gloves, and binoculars. Once everything is ready, the hunters embark on a challenging expedition. Hours are spent observing to locate the wild boars. They track the animals by following the signs left behind. When a boar's position is finally identified, the hunter chooses a strategic spot for aiming, loading the bullet in preparation for a decisive shot. The moment the boar enters the crosshairs is the most intense. The hunter waits for the perfect opportunity to squeeze the trigger. This single action can determine the success or failure of the hunt. With distances spanning hundreds of yards, shooting experience is crucial. Sometimes the chance appears only once. This invasive species, with its thick hide, not only demonstrates resilience against the environment, but it is also stubborn in the face of bullets, something even much larger creatures often cannot withstand. And here is yet another piece of proof of that. When hunting in groups, everyone uses radios to stay in contact. This allows them to track the wild pig herd while avoiding each other's line of fire. Hunters will use drones to monitor the pig's movements. If a shot isn't fatal, a wild pig usually doesn't die immediately and will try to escape. Hunters must then track the animal by following its trail. This can take a long time if the wound isn't severe or if the train is difficult. If the pig is still alive, another bullet is used to finish it off. When hunting pigs for meat, hunters may also use a knife to end its life quickly. This reduces their suffering. It also improves the meat quality and lowers the risk of accidentally shooting hunting dogs.
Good dog.
In areas where vehicles can't reach them, hunters field dress the pig and leave the entrails behind to lighten the load. The pig's legs are then tied together so it can be carried back like a backpack. Imagine carrying an 88-pound backpack across slippery terrain and then slipping. A truly harsh experience. Hunting dogs are indispensable for a successful hunt. They locate and track wild pigs, chasing and cornering them, before holding them until hunters arrive. Dogs are trained to drive pigs into open areas that are ideal for shooting. For hunters who only aim to protect the crops, most use shotguns without scopes. These firearms are easier to handle at close range and are highly effective up to around 164 feet. Wild pigs usually forage at night. In that case, hunters will use thermal scopes. This equipment allows observing wild pig movements in complete darkness. Hunting under these conditions is also an advantage for hunters because the pig's vision is limited. The firearm method has the advantages of a high accuracy, quick effectiveness, and relatively low cost. But this method, if not properly trained and practiced, can easily cause injury to people and other animals. In addition, it produces loud blasts that affect other wildlife populations and the surrounding environment.
Vem, Aban, deixa.
Next, we'll move on to hunting wild boar with a bow. This method is aimed at those seeking a high hunting challenge. First, the hunter will mix corn and some other ingredients to increase attractiveness and trick the wild boar's taste. Next, they will spread the bait in areas where the wild boar often appears to lure them in. Hunters usually climb a tree with a special device. This device is also used as a position to observe the wild boar. When a wild boar comes close to feed, the hunter will lock onto the target. When the best opportunity arises, one arrow will fly out and embed itself in the unfortunate wild boar's body. When using a bow, the hunter will experience the feeling of waiting, stalking, and holding their breath. Just one quick breath or one small movement will affect the shooting result. And worse, it could make the wild boars run away. The effective shooting distance is usually around 66 to 98 feet. At this range, the hunter can sense even the smallest movement of the prey. Besides offering a high level of experience, hunting wild boars in this way is also quite economically valuable, because in some cases, arrows can be reused. Arrows generally do not have the same lethality as gun bullets. If the wound does not hit locations like the heart or lungs, tracking the wild boar's carcass can take a very long time. But bow hunting is also fairer to the wild boar, because the outcome depends entirely on the shooter's skill. Now we'll move on to one of the most expensive forms of hunting, which is hunting by helicopter. The price per flight is usually around $1,000 to $6,000 depending on the purpose. This method is usually suitable for large farm owners who want to eliminate wild boars quickly over a wide area. It also meets the demand for a high quality experimental hunt for some hunters. Rifles or semi-automatic rifles are typically used for this method, because these guns are mobile and have a fast rate of fire. This method is usually carried out only in urgent situations, and is not recommended in areas near populated places because it can easily cause safety hazards. Helicopter hunting often has a low accuracy and can wound the wild boar, leaving them to suffer until death. Next, we will come to another method to eliminate the wild boar, which is setting traps. This is a very effective method for capturing an entire sounder of wild boar. First, people choose the location and assemble the trap. The time for this activity depends on the trap, usually taking around 20 to 40 minutes. Then food prepared in advance is spread in the trap area to lure the wild boar inside. Next, the trapdoor is attached to the pin of the automatic system, and people check to make sure it's working properly. When at home, people can monitor the trap's condition through the surveillance camera system installed at the trap. When the sounder has entered the trap, they need only one action on the phone and the trapdoor will automatically close, capturing the entire sounder. The next day, they will return to the location where the trap was set. They will then proceed to kill all of the wild boar and they die in utter panic, with no escape and no concession. This is a very unpleasant experience for them. This is the result of one trap after one night. With this trapping method, each time it can eliminate around 15 to 30 individual wild boar. This method usually only requires initial investment and the time to install. The number of wild boar killed is also very impressive. This method is also suitable for farms that have a large number of wild boar. In the US, scientists are also researching poisons for wild boar. But the limitations of this method are that it can accidentally kill livestock and other animals. This makes this method unpopular in the US.
They're all in pain.
Have you ever eaten a dish made from wild boar meat? Right now, we'll have a look at how people prepare wild boar meat. First, they will skin the wild boar. This is the dirtiest part and contains the most bacteria. Next, they will remove the wild boar's internal organs, and then the head will be removed. The body of the wild boar is divided into smaller parts, and the meat will be separated section by section. The wild boar meat will then be ground to make sausage, and the machine will stuff the meat into the casing. To preserve it for longer, the sausages will be vacuum sealed and packaged. Finally, wild boar sausages will be stored in the refrigerator. In some Asian countries, raising wild boar is considered a model of sustainable economic development, because wild boar meat is seen as a delicacy, often appearing only during special holidays. This model can generate profits of hundreds of millions of dollars each year. When every effort at control fails, a new direction arises. Can America turn wild boar from an invasive species into an economic livestock? If properly managed, bred and raised in captivity, they could become a valuable source of meat, hide and other processed products. But the most essential question is, can Americans turn this threat into an opportunity? Or will they remain trapped in an endless battle with nature?